Hello, everyone. Ho.
Ho. Ho.
Nice. Yes. Well, we didn't practice. We probably should practice that one. Welcome to our Logic Apps webcast. This is the last webcast for the year. We are excited to be here with all of you to go over the Logic Apps products, some exciting features and announcements, some pretty big announcements today that we're excited to share with you.
Yeah.
So to start off with, I'm Jeff Holland on the program management team for Logic Apps.
I'm Kevin Lamb, also a program manager.
And I'm John Fancy, also a program manager.
Yep. So we're going to go ahead and get started with it. This is our last webcast for the year, and we had a request on Twitter to show up in the correct apparel for the holiday season. So of course we did. Kevin's been wearing this all week, though. Yeah, delivering features and saying that he's Santa's little helper. All right.
That's right.
So we will go ahead and. It is a new room. We have moved offices. We now are in a different, this is now, what do we call this? Like the comfy couch.
Yeah.
This is our comfy couch that we'll be broadcasting from, at least for now. So we'll go ahead and get started then. Let's see. I'll go ahead and share my screen. I've got the presentation going. And I've also got Visual Studio already up too, Kevin, if that's what you want me to do. So let me go ahead and switch. As always, feel free to ask us any questions in the chat window of YouTube right now. If you're watching this recording or you don't want to use the chat window, you can go ahead and tweet us as well at LogicApps.io. And we're going to go ahead and get started now. Let me share my screen, and we will share some of the exciting new features that are going on. So,
yeah, are you ready?
Our favorite transition slide of the
inception.
Yes.
Okay. Yay. So this is the last one of the year, and what do we have that's new? We just did a webcast not that long ago, and we had the Thanksgiving break in between. So this list won't be quite as long as the list you saw last time.
You mean one column? We only have one column this time?
I think we may only have one column. Only in one section. That's okay. But we've still been busy. Okay, so what's new? Visual Studio Cloud Explorer.
The short list, but powerful list.
Yes. So now you're able to go and look at your Logic apps in the Cloud Explorer, be able to edit them, the ones that are live in the cloud, as well as look at your run history and actually run it from within Visual Studio. And hopefully, if all the technical stuff goes well, we'll be able to demo that shortly. Very excited about that. That new feature just got released. File system trigger. Go ahead, John.
Yes, file system trigger. So I showed the file system connector last time. We now have a trigger. I'm going to show this if I get a time as well. And what this lets you do is trigger a Logic app when a file is created on your local file system and we connect using the on-premises data gateway, or when it's modified, you can now trigger a Logic app and fire it and passes the file information in as a trigger. And that's not there in preview just yet. Should be there in the next 2 weeks' time. First thing in the new year is our expectation. Yeah. I
should have gone to the next list. That's okay.
Yeah.
I pulled the trigger too soon on that one.
Well, that's because I'm going
to... Someone's ready for a Oh, I don't have the latest one. Is this checkbox more? Do you have it? You've got your local copy? You might have to just talk to it.
More awesome.
Just refresh it.
Oh, I grabbed the latest one. Here, hold on. We'll switch back to this while... Kevin's laptop, he has a very old laptop. He needs to get a new one already. But there we go. It popped up now. Let me go ahead and share again. So apologies for the technical hiccups of Kevin's old legacy laptop. Back to this list. Now they see everything though. That's okay.
Out of the bag. That's okay. HP Authentication UX. So on the HP card in Designer, we used to give you a nice little text box so you can go ahead and figure out documentation, how to figure out the JSON to find out what type of formatting you need to use for HP Auth. That was really painful. We're sorry, but we made it better. So now you actually have a great user experience inside the Designer, so you can pick your basic OAuth or client certificate or even raw, and you can get to that raw mode and be able to get all that information in there in a much more intuitive manner in the Designer. Logic app is called restrictions. That should be called restrictions. So now in the last session, we talked about how we can restrict how you can get your Logic apps called by different IP addresses. We've added a nice drop down in the portal so that you can, there you go, so you can actually only have other Logic apps call your Logic apps. So if you have kind of componentized your Logic apps and you only want it to be called by parent Logic apps and not by some random people, then you can use that restriction on the logic app and really lock it down. Log search. This is a really cool capability that was added to the portal that allows you to do searching on your logs. So then you can do simple things like, hey, you know, I had a logic app that ran and it had to do something with order 567. So you can do a search on order 567, and then you'll see all the telemetry for the logic apps that ran against something called order 567. So that makes searching for things that happen in the portal way easier. Great management experience. Alert on any metric. So there were some challenges in some of the metrics couldn't be alerted on in a consistent fashion. They'd only fire once. Now that has been fixed, so you can pick any metric in that metric list and alert upon it, and it will continue to alert as you would expect it to.
Yeah, and there's if you ever go into the Azure portal and you click on the alert section and add a metric alert, we have like 25 different things that you can monitor or do alerts on, whether it's billing events or actions or triggers or runs, any shape and flavor in between. We're doing everything we can between log search and alerting to be sure that we're emitting all of the data that you might need to correctly monitor and manage your solution. And these are some of the areas that we've been able to improve on lately. Oh, and file system trigger, which we already did.
So new SaaS connectors. We always have new ones coming out. So it's always very exciting to talk about these. The big one. I should have put this on the end of the list instead of the beginning.
Yeah.
So SAP's out.
So today, yes, SAP Connector is in public preview. You'll see this roll out across our data centers, but you should find it in a couple of them today. And if you don't see it in the data center, you want to just wait a couple of days and it should show up. So I talked about this before. This is the ability to connect from a Logic app to SAP on-premises, again, using our on-premises data gateway to create that secure, reliable connection between the two things. So send us feedback. Let us know what you think. You know, this is a super interesting feature, I think, for us to sort of complete that B2B and enterprise integration scenario.
SurveyMonkey. We're just going to run through this list.
Yeah.
Harvest, Buffer, Typeform, Google Contacts, Medium, MSN Weather. There's more. Yes, SparkPost and Chatter.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, so this list constantly grows, and we have more coming down the list, coming down the line. We'll talk about those in a little bit.
Yeah. And again, I think I hit this last time. We are working with a number of different partners right now to onboard some connectors that partners are helping us build. So if that's something that interests you, be sure to ping us on Twitter or send us an email, and we'll help get you rolling with that too. The big news.
Yes, here we go.
No build-up.
No build-up, yeah, so we've seen the drum roll or the sleigh bells or something, right? So the Enterprise Integration Pack has GA'd today.
Yes! That really is applause-worthy. There's some pretty beefy stuff in here.
There is, yeah. Just if you don't, not familiar with what it is, this is our enterprise integration, kind of business-to-business, EDI, XML processing, things like mapping, transformation, XML validation, flat file conversion, X12, Edifact, and AS2 processing, as well as the integration account, which lets you manage all of that stuff and upload your schemas and maps and everything. So just to call out a few improvements which are being deployed as part of GA. We've simplified transformation. So previously you had to create a function app and kind of do that first and then initial step. That's all gone. Now you just set it up with your integration account, pick the map, and you're done. Partner and agreement resolution action is also there. So this lets you, instead of just jumping straight to something like an AS2 decode, you may want to know what the partner and agreement is it's going to process in that decode step. And we have an additional action now that lets you know that in case you want to make any changes prior to submitting it to the next action, which would decode the message and process it. Metadata lookup is also there, and just some improvements to that. We have the JSON editor, which I think I mentioned before, but we also have rolling out, starting today as well, as part of GA, is a grid that lets you actually edit name value pairs. So if you don't want to edit the entire JSON object of something like an agreement and add the metadata to that, you can now just edit name value pairs and use it as a true config store to then to be able to look that up at runtime and pull those values out and make processing decisions on that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Need like bells or something.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
The build before we even started, people were excited about the GA. So it's just that's the challenge with our webcast audience is all the cheering and applauding. I'm pretty sure someone right now is dancing while they're watching this. We can't see it. We can only they can only just tell us on
It's too
Twitter.
bad. We need to fix that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And we mentioned the SAP connector now in public preview. Again, the other one, the big one on this one is give us your feedback too. That's one of the great things about this platform is that we ship things as early as we can to you so that you can get your hands on them, start testing them out. But we also need your feedback too. As we finish making the final changes on this, we need you to give us your feedback, let us know what you want, and so we can make those improvements to the platform too.
Yeah, and just the other call out, which was in that slide, is make sure you are running the latest version of the gateway. If you've been using other connectors like SharePoint previously to use the gateway, just make sure you grab the latest one, which is the version there. So that has a number of kind of changes which enable both the SAP connector and the file system connector. So just make sure you grab the latest one.
Great. So I assume we want to switch quickly now to demos, and I should hopefully be presenting to you. Does everyone see my face on YouTube? I hope so. But if not, John, I think, do you want to start with your demos? Do you want me to do this one?
This should be a quick one. So let me.
While he's getting that set up, the other thing I'll mention too, just in terms of updates, is we did have a chance as a team last week to go and attend the Gartner Application Summit, Application Strategy and Solution Summit. Which was a great opportunity. Yeah, really fun. We love attending those kind of conferences, getting out in front of users. Maybe people watching this webcast now are people who got introduced to last week in Las Vegas. Yeah. But again, just a great opportunity to get out, share the story of the Microsoft integration vision. It went very well. I think we had a lot of interest. People get really excited when they hear about, wow, things are getting this easy to start building some of these solutions. So that's something as well I wanted to just mention. And if there's any other events that we should be attending and make sure that we're sharing this story with too, again, email, tweet, whatever, we're listening. So looks like John's ready to go. His demos always blow me away. So we'll go ahead and switch over to John's screen now and let him run with it.
Awesome. So I'm just going to keep this really simple. So if I just type in this box, this is the creating new logic. So I have to start with a trigger. Is boom, you see right here that I now have a file system trigger, which says when a file is added or modified, I can go ahead and fire a logic app on that. So here's one that I created earlier, which does a little bit more than that. So I'm going to trigger on that. I'm polling every 15 seconds to pick up those file changes. I'm just going to post that to the request bin just so I can send the state the file information that I picked up. And I'm going to delete files. So what should happen with this is if I flip over to my file system, this is the folder that I'm watching. This is on my laptop here using the data gateway. And let's just put like Merry Christmas in this thing.
Oh, nice.
I'll just create a file. Now, within a few seconds, it should actually pick that file up. The logic app will trigger, and then the file should disappear. So let's just flip over and see if this logic app's running. And just refresh it. See what's going on. Let's see it fired a few seconds ago. There we go. So it succeeded. And I see the whole run completed. So if I flip over to the file system, I see the file's gone.
Whoa.
That. And, just to show that it kind of did the whole thing, I can just refresh request bin and see here's the file that I picked up. Merry Christmas.
Nice.
That's a nice part of
that. Yeah. So coming really soon, first thing in the new year, we think we're getting the first deployment, so you guys will be able to access this in just a couple of weeks.
Very cool
Stuff.
Okay, let's go ahead then. And since Kevin is still doing technical difficulties, does that mean I get to steal your demo then, Kevin?
You do get to steal my demo.
Yes! I get all the glory. Before we do that, let me just make sure we're not going too far without answering any questions. So we'll get to some of these questions after my demo, but I will pick and choose some. On log search, do we need to add anything special, or will it search the inputs and outputs? So maybe I'll actually show that in my demo, because that's what I was doing today. That's why I have these Visual Studios involved, and then we just have a lot of people cheering and some questions on pricing, but we'll get to that after my demo because I just want to go right into mine. So let me go ahead and share my screen again, and we get that awesome transition again of watching my screen go into infinity. And let's talk about the Visual Studio tools that are now available. Some of the updates that came. So before we've had, let me go ahead or I don't need this pinned, I just don't need it shown. Before we've had this Visual Studio Designer for quite some time where you can build your logic apps right within Visual Studio. This is awesome because they have deployment templates generated automatically for you. You can check this into source control. You can, do everything you would expect to do with Visual Studio Project. One of the coolest things, though, is deploying it is very easy. Once you build a Logic app in Visual Studio, I can just go ahead and say New Deployment and choose any region in the entire world to get that thing running in. Something new that we've added with the latest update that just went out is integration with the Cloud Explorer to do some of your management operations. So you see here, this is my subscription. I obviously have a lot of Logic apps. I love my Logic apps. And we can go ahead now. Let me find a Logic app here that I know I use often, which is the, I can't remember what it's called. It's RSS. I guess it didn't pop up in this one. I have so many. Yeah. So I have some Logic apps that monitor our forums and Reddit and Stack Overflow and let me know when something happens so that I can go and answer it. When I right-click one of those resources now, you'll see we have a new menu here to do things like open in the Logic app editor, view the run history, disable, delete, and so on. So I can take this existing Logic app that's already running in my subscription and say open it in the editor. And now within Visual Studio, here's my very simple, not very complicated Logic app, which is when something gets updated in MSDN, go ahead and ping my phone through Pushbullet. So I was able to go ahead and edit that. I could run that right within Visual Studio as well. The same way I could run in the portal, save, refresh, all those things I would expect to be able to do. Now, I closed my Cloud Explorer. View, thank you. View Cloud Explorer. The other thing that is awesome is that I can view my run history as well. So if I look at our forums, which I know are active, so I know that this is run recently, I can view all the runs. You can see here we had, like 4 posts yesterday in our forum. You can see all the times it ran.
Resort it.
Yeah, that's right. I can actually say, I want to know when this was by end time and sort it by end time or by all this stuff. So I have this cool sorting right there, duration as well. I can open this and see the monitoring view so I know exactly the forum post that was on this one, which was a question of I have to go to app service settings and restart my function app. It looks like that I actually need to reassign that one to the functions team, but that's fine. I was able to see that right here from within Visual Studio. So some cool tools here to help you manage. Yeah, resubmits right here as well. So I'll actually push that, and my phone right now is about to get a notification. I just popped up. You can't see it, but they all can. That was the notification. I just resubmitted it, so it re-notifies my phone. Exactly. Super snappy, all from Visual Studio. So we wanted to share that as well. Anything else you want me to call out while I'm showing my screen in Visual Studio, Kevin, or did that, surpass your demo on the fly? It's very cool. Okay, so let's bring this back then to our beautiful faces. And we have in progress.
You have in progress.
Back to my screen. I liked it before where we could still see our faces, my face, let's be honest. That's what everyone's here for anyway.
You're a golden retriever, right?
I was a golden retriever, yes. My dog breed is golden retriever, we learned at Gartner. Okay. Yes, you'll get, I'm recording a video, you'll see the demo soon. All right, in progress, Kevin, back to you.
So there's a bunch of stuff in progress. Some of these we had already talked about in the last webcasts, but they're still being worked on.
Oh, it's so close though. Some of these are like right there.
We just didn't want to accept that file trigger, which we pulled the trigger too soon on. Improved connector search. So we're putting a lot of effort into creating a great experience so that as you look for connectors and operations in the designer, you get a much richer experience for being able to find the connectors that you want and have it much more intuitive. Message batching. So batching is still in progress, and that'll allow you to batch a collection of messages together to have a single message that you can then process. Session state, no, that should still say variables. So variables. Variables, then you can start doing things like in a loop, you can increment a variable or store some temporary states or follow next links. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do with variables, and it's going to be a great feature that we're going to add coming soon. Generate schema.
This one's another one that's right there.
So close. So now you'll be able to take your sample JSON and right in the designer, be able to generate the schema from that sample JSON and then use it in your HTTP request. JSON parse. Mm-hmm. So anytime a message comes in, you want to be able to parse that message and use all the properties as tokens. And so it'll make it really easy to pull in a JSON object and then tokenize it essentially, so you can utilize it in your designer.
This would be a great pairing with Service Bus. Yeah, I'm excited for that one to finally ship.
Great connection from Azure subscription. So, resolving the pain of once you get to that connection experience and trying to figure out that connection string, not having to have to jump out the designer, go to that other resource, find the connection string and get the right connection string and put it in there. We're all going to make that an embedded experience right from the connection part.
Yeah, so I think we explained it last time, but you'd say, I want to talk to Service Bus, and instead of saying paste in your connection string, it would say, which Service Bus in your subscription do you want to use? And I mean, you could, if you want to paste in a connection string, if it's out of your subscription, that's still possible, but trying to make it easier for the kind of the general case.
Select objects in Designer. So right now we gave you a flat list of objects that's in your, you can have a hierarchy of objects in your JSON object. So now you'll be able to select a whole object as opposed to just the property. So you can pick a child object, and that's help a lot of people out.
Yeah.
Expression evaluation and run history. So you've done a condition and you've had a complex expression and you went down the path and it said true. It's like, why? So being able to go in that run history and be able to see the evaluation of that expression for debugging and understanding, making sure that you actually wrote the expression correctly. Switch. So switch, just like in programming, will allow you to, on a particular property, then be able to have a number of things you can choose between the values of that property and then take different paths based on that value. And finally, header control. So right now, just like with the auth, we gave you a nice experience for putting some auth properties in there. We'll do the same thing for the header control so that you have a nice UX experience for adding headers to your HTTP action, where now it's just a blob object. Yeah. So we have connectors, and a whole bunch of connectors coming down the line.
Some good ones.
And some juicy ones. And I know people have been biting at the bit for these. SQL trigger. So SQL trigger work is in progress, and hopefully our new Christmas will be January, and that's when we'll have that out.
We'll probably have to wear Santa hats again whenever SQL trigger ships.
SQL Stored Proc on-prem. So we have SQL Stored Proc for SQL Azure Online, but for the on-prem experience, the Stored Proc is not quite there yet, and that's being worked on as well. So that should be coming around soon. ARM. We're really excited about this one. This one's already kind of started deployments in other parts, so you should see this one really, really soon. The work's all done. It's just about deployment, so you should see this coming around the corner. We talked about SAP, DocuSign, Outlook Task, GoToTrain. There's a bunch of other GoTo stuff that's coming out as well, and OneNote. So a bunch of stuff coming online as usual.
Perfect. So I'll before we close out on that one, now let's switch back to this, and we'll do some Q&A. One of the questions I failed to answer during my demo portion was around the diagnostic logs. I did forget to do that one. So if you look at we have an article posted on Docs, Microsoft Docs, which is called Monitor Your Logic App. And there's a section there around diagnostics and tracked properties. So by default, your inputs and outputs are not pushed to diagnostics data. That's because potentially you might not want that data floating around your diagnostic logs, but also because size constraints. But you can opt in and push whatever information you do deem valuable through that diagnostics channel by adding that tracked properties section. So that article on monitoring your logic app goes through doing that. But the great thing is when you export your diagnostics to log analytics, OMS will actually index all of those tracked properties for you. So I showed Kevin right before we started broadcasting, but I have a logic app where if you send it a picture of a dog, it will detect the breed of the dog, which is something we did at Gartner, which is why I'm a golden retriever, because that's what my logic app thinks I am. But now whenever I go to OMS and I say, hey, show me all the breeds that have been detected, I made that a tracked property, and OMS will say you had 50 runs in the last day, and here you had 20 of them that was a German Shepherd, 5 of them that were a Border Collie, and so on. And I can do all that through the diagnostics pipeline by using that tracked properties feature. So be sure to check out that article for more information on that.
More manageability.
Yep, more manageability. All right, so first question. We did the log analytics one. Lots of great jobs and congrats. EIP actions work with Visual Studio Designer yet? I did not know they did not work.
So they should work. They didn't work
Sometimes the Visual Studio Designer is a little behind
a week or two.
Yeah, so sometimes you just have to wait a little bit for it to catch up.
Yeah. But certainly in the general case, you should, we had this a little while ago, you might have missed it, but a month ago, you can now have the enterprise integration account reference in Visual Studio, and that should enable. So maybe, if you don't see it working, that may be the reason. Just look for the property, and the property window, you'll see integration account, set the integration account, and then you should be able to use the EIP actions as part of the logic app.
Yep. Okay. Some questions on EIP around pricing now that it's generally available.
Right, yes. So the pricing page, I actually looked just before we jumped on this, is being updated today. So you should see that. I actually also updated our Logic Apps pricing page to kind of explain kind of how this is going to work. So I'd encourage you to look at both of those two resources. We have the main Azure pricing page for Logic Apps, and we have in our own docs for Logic Apps the pricing kind of explanation of how consumption-based pricing works, etc., and how that works in relation to the integration account. So check both of those two resources out. You should get a complete picture on kind of how what your options are for using the EIP and the Logic Apps.
Perfect. There are some questions around restricting IP addresses or restricting run history. I talked about it last webcast. That article is now published. But there's an article now called Secure Your Logic App. It's actually pretty extensive. So it looks like it showed up to me as the 5th search result when I typed in securing a Logic App. So I'll go ahead and paste it into the chat window now. But that is definitely worth looking at because it goes into some uses you can do to restrict and secure both the contents of the Logic App as well as access to Fire Logic Apps. So I just pasted that in the chat window. And there's work that we're going to be starting in the next few. It didn't make it onto this slide, but we're going to be continuing in to add to that story as well, to the questions around access to contents of a run. JSON parse, also XML parse, correct. What's on the slide, we're only doing JSON parse for now, but we do plan to support XML schemas and XML parsing in the coming weeks and months. We don't have a firm timeline for it, but we've started designing for that. Yeah, it's coming up soon. Let's see, SQL Store Procedure Love, which is good. The logging thing. And then just some congrats. So I think that's it. I'll check Twitter really quickly, and then we'll switch over to the, it sounds like we might have some audio issues, which would not surprise me a ton, but maybe with this new room, there's some quirks with the mic in here. So we'll check that out. Hopefully it's working now, which I think is okay. But if not, hopefully our gestures were dramatic enough and you can see that Logic Apps is great. All right, we'll switch back to the kind of the wrap-up slide, and we'll give you some actions that you can all take now. This will be our last webcast for the year. Obviously, it's December, so that's not super surprising. And we'll be back here in January again. I guess, Kevin, I'll let you walk through our beautiful AKA links.
AKA links, yes. Most of them are short.
Yeah.
Logic Apps blog. We post a lot of great articles on the blog post, so keep your eyes on that for updates. The update blog, that's where you'll see all of our latest releases on the update blog. Vote for new features. So if there's a feature that you care about, upvote it. We do pay attention to that list, or if you don't see it there, add it to that list, and we'll get it onto our backlog. BizTalk blog. So if you want to find out what's new with BizTalk, right, BizTalk just went GA with BizTalk Server 2016. So there's a lot of activity around BizTalk. And of course, our Azure webcast. If you're watching this, you see that it's Logic Apps Live. And we're here almost every month talking about our greatest and latest stuff. Integration advisors. So if you want to be an advisor for Azure and particularly integration, this is the link, aka.ms Azure Advisors. That will take you through the process of becoming an Azure advisor. And then finally, our monthly newsletter, which just went out today, I think, on our integration story. So that's how you can join. Just talk integration at Microsoft.com. Just send an email, and you can join that newsletter.
Perfect. Awesome. So I think that is it. Yeah, so there was a question, yay, on the sign language. It sounds like kinda. So do we need to update the on-prem data gateway for this new functionality? John mentioned that, yeah.
I noted that,
Yeah, make sure to download the latest version of the data gateway. It does add some functionality that SAP requires. Apologies for any audio issues. If there was something that didn't come through clear, we'll follow up and answer wherever we can. We will be slowing down our releasing of new features throughout the holiday break. That's not just because we have a lot of our developers who are taking a break, but we know that a lot of you who are servicing your production systems are kind of doing a lighter load. So after this week's release on the 16th, so we have a release coming out today and tomorrow that's rolling out, we're only going to be deploying kind of hot fixes and minor bug fixes throughout the rest of the year. So that updates blog will slow down a little bit in terms of the weekly updates, and you can know that your systems are just going to, I mean, they always run just fine, but we did have a question on that freeze plan, so we'll be pushing out some of these new features once the new year comes around. Awesome. Thank you all very much. Happy holidays, and we hope to hear from you soon on Twitter, email, or wherever.
Have a safe and happy holiday.
Yeah. Thanks.
Happy holidays.
Oh.